Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and Burgess Owens shuts down this anti-school choice witness with one simple question, calling her out for the hypocrite she truly is. Let's dive in.
Ms. Levin, I'm of course very impressed with your background. Um, Magna cum laude from Cornell University, University of Oxford, and JD cum laude from Harvard Law School. I'm going to guess that's because you had a remarkable foundation. You have parents that truly focus on your education during that process. Am I correct?
That was certainly a very important part of it.
Okay, would you have had the same experience, you think, if you lived in the Baltimore area with 28 schools, you have 2,000 seniors with zero proficiency in math, or in California, study back in 2017, 75% of the black boys cannot pass the reading and writing test. Could you have succeeded in those kind of situations in the public school system, do you think?
I think that we need to fully fund our public schools to make sure that all students have the opportunity. And Education Law Center advocates for that across the country. Private school choice.
So did you go to a public school system?
No, I went to a private school.
Okay, you went to Head Royce School. Why? I spent time in Oakland. You had a choice in Oakland to go to public schools also. Why didn't your parents do that for you?
Well, I would remind you that children generally don't choose the school that they go to.
No, your parents did. Your parents had a choice. And your parents paid $30,000 to $50,000 a year for your choice. What gets me is how people like yourself, I would say this across the board, parents who have an option. They can put their kids in the best schools. They know that's an investment for their kids' future. And yet you come here and say how well it doesn't work. I just want to read this real quick. In reality, students who use voucher experience worse educational outcomes than their public school peers. Obviously, your parents didn't think that way because they put you in a private school. In private schools, they're subject to few, if any, quality and accountability standards. I guess my question is this. If we had a system in which we were focused on the student versus the institution, if parents had a choice, like your parents did, had a choice, and it did not come out of the state funds, we have something called Education Choice for Children's Act. It does not come, not one resident comes out of the district, out of the local. Would you be okay with choice if that was the case? If parents had a choice, but it did not come out of public schools, which obviously have very focused on. Would you be okay with that kind of choice?
No, we oppose any type of private school choice program. I would note that I, as an independent person, have looked at the evidence and looked at policy and made my own independent judgment.
Would you put your children in the school system here in Baltimore? That if you're stuck there, I mean, if you didn't have the choice of what we're talking about everybody else, would you be okay to leave your child in a school that's failing 100% zero proficiency in math?
I will absolutely put any children I have, including the one I'm expecting, into public schools. As I said, I come from a family.
And these Baltimore public schools, we're not talking about good public schools. We're talking about schools that are failing our kids. Would you be willing to put your child in a school that everybody else, all these parents are trying to get their kids out of?
I don't believe that our public schools are failing. I believe that that's a narrative created at the national level.
I think there's a lot of, there's a word called huspa. It's a lot of huspa. When I sit down and you talk to people at your table here, they're dealing with this every single day, and their kids are failing.
Wow, okay, denial is not just a river in Africa, folks. These people truly believe that our public school system is airtight and wonderful. And this is someone who was brought up through the private school system, went to elite colleges as well. This is a woman who has not wanted for anything and was given pretty much the easy track through life. And then she has the gall to go out there and say, yes, if I was in Baltimore, I would put my child in the Baltimore public school system. Sure. This is the kind of person who is smart enough to look at the evidence and realize that maybe our public school system isn't doing great, but somehow, some way, our having school choice is much, much worse. There's some asinine arguments here and there, but this is the best one, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. When we talk about our education system, we do need to understand that where these schools get their funding is from two main places. From the state itself, usually paying for building costs, usually paying for utilities and a couple other things here and there, but it's the local area that actually funds these schools. And so there's this constant talking point from leftists and from anti-school choice people like this witness, Miss Jessica Levin, by the way, that's her name. And her argument is, well, if we just fully funded everything, things would be okay. Instead of realizing the sad truth of the matter, that one, the Deweyan system that we have, where we force students to basically work through things by age instead of by intellectual ability. There's only rare cases where kids can skip grades, and there's also rare cases where kids get held back a grade. This Deweyan system of throw everything at the wall and hope that something sticks is not working. It's not benefiting our students, and it has left behind millions of young Americans who have come in, who have the crime of living in places like Baltimore. Okay, that's not fair to these students. So these liberals are smart enough to know that that's not a viable system. I actually agree with them. I think, however, the problem is inherent in the system itself. I think that the way we do this almost shotgun approach to education makes everything worse time and time and time again. And furthermore, things that continue to make it worse would be teachers' unions, who protect often the worst of the teachers instead of actually giving them the benefit. On one hand, sometimes unions are necessary to make sure that highly needed and highly skilled labor is protected. And on the other hand, we've got a system where we don't need highly skilled labor to teach the kids because that's not really a requirement anymore. For instance, Miss Weingarten of the Teachers Union has been screaming bloody murder recently all about the proposed cuts to the Department of Education. The Department of Education announced on Tuesday that it would be shrinking its workforce from 4,133 to about 2,183 employees. Remaining workers impacted by the reductions will be placed on administrative leave beginning March 21st. And then Ms. Weingarten starts clutching her pearls. I'm so mad. I'm spitting mad about this because it's hurting the people who can't vote. Children don't vote. Let's not take away their opportunity, Ms. Weingarten continued. Except that's not what's going on. The Department of Education pretty much oversees one big thing, and that is test scores, which have been falling like a rock and gotten way worse. It was already on a slowly cratering pace ever since No Child Left Behind got passed in the early 2000s. And then after lockdowns, there was a drop in test scores that have gotten just almost near rock bottom. We have not done right by our students, and we need fundamental change. And I actually don't think that school choice is actually the right way to go, not because I don't like private schools. I was lucky enough to attend one myself. It was great for me, but it wasn't great for other people. University model, it isn't for everyone. I think that instead, the public education system either needs to be completely broken and scattered or rebuilt from the ground up. That means the Department of Education is not going to have too much oversight. Instead, it's going to have to be shrunk and given back to the states, and then the states allow their schools the opportunity to evolve and change. Because what we have right now is not working. Okay? We need more Montessori-style schools for younger students. We've got to break up elementary education. It's not done properly. We need to have different areas of expertise. We need to have different areas of focus for our school system. And I think that can be done at the local level. I think it should be done at the local level. And that's what school choice is supposed to be. Not a voucher system, which can work in certain places. It's currently being worked pretty well in Arizona. But we've had the opportunity to do it here in Georgia. And I love bringing up the Georgia example because I was lucky enough to be an intern down under the Gold Dome for Lindsey Tippins, and he was the head of the education committee. And even he had to say that he had major problems with school choice because it basically dried up the money that was being used for everyone. So I think that there is another way that we can handle this problem. And Burgess Owens is at the forefront of school choice. He is a warrior on this front, and I am very thankful for what he does. But I think that there's something even better that we can be doing for our students, and it's not taking away their choice like liberals want, like the teachers unions want. Instead, it's by opening up the schools almost to a market-style system. I think that's going to work wonders for our education, wonders for our students, and better set them up for life. Because what we're currently doing right now, it's not sustainable, and it's not fair to our children. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politibrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. And until then, y'all have a good one.